Have you ever just felt completely drained by your phone? You know, that feeling of just information overload.
Oh, absolutely.
You look down, and it's just screen after screen of icons, right? And the notifications never stop. You're constantly jumping between different tools, different apps, just trying to get one simple thing done. It's app fatigue, digital fragmentation. It feels like the norm.
It really does. It's become our default digital life.
But what if? What if that whole way of doing things, that fragmented experience, is actually, well, becoming obsolete?
It's true. The way we've thought about and interacted with computers for, gosh, decades now, those mental models, they're starting to dissolve.
Dissolving. That's a really strong word. What parts are crumbling first? How do we even wrap our heads around something that big?
Well, it's a fundamental shift.
Okay, so today we're diving deep into something pretty radical, a new paradigm shift called liquid computing.
Exactly. It's this vision where tech moves way beyond just screens and apps.
It becomes this ambient, intelligent flow. Something that surrounds you, adapts to you.
Precisely. And for this deep dive, we're drawing from a really comprehensive outline. It's for a book called Liquid Computing, The Future of Human-Tech Symbiosis.
Right, and it sounds like it covers a lot. The history, the AI shift, how this liquid idea changes, well, everything.
Yeah.
Work, communication, maybe even identity.
It really does. So our mission today is basically to unpack this potentially radical future. We want to get into the core principles, understand why it's such a fundamental break from computing as we've known it.
And cut through some of the complexity, right?
Okay.
Give everyone listening a shortcut to understanding what this next era might actually look like.
Exactly. Let's make sense of it.
Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah.
Because computing, it's always been evolving, hasn't it? Not just the hardware getting faster, but like how we relate to information has been quite a journey.
Oh, an incredible arc. Each era really redefined how we interacted. If you think way back, the mainframe era, like 1940s, 50s, computing was command-based, very bureaucratic, industrial almost.
Like national infrastructure, those huge room-sized machines.
Exactly. ENIAC, UNIVAC, giants. Interaction was, punch cards, terminals, pretty clunky. But they were serious force multipliers for big calculations, big data problems.
And then the 80s hit, and suddenly the idea of a personal computer, which must have seemed kind of crazy back then.
Utterly audacious. This was possession computing. You owned a computer. It sat on your desk.
Right. The whole desktop metaphor, files, folders, the trash can.
Yeah, and the GUIs, the graphical user interfaces, they were crucial for easing people into the machine's logic. The keyboard and mouse became these ritual objects for work.
Empowering, especially for knowledge workers.
Totally. It made computing personal, an extension of thought.
But then, almost immediately, the internet arrived, and that PC on your desk suddenly became a portal.
Exactly. The web era. Portal computing. Your browser effectively became the new OS. URLs were destinations. Search engines replaced directories.
So it shifted from storage on your machine to looking things up.
Precisely. Look up rather than storage. Information was suddenly out there, not just in here. A massive shift.
And then came the mobile revolution. Computing moved from the desk right into our pockets.
Yep. Smartphones. Companion computing. Always with you, always on, always connected. Push notifications, GPS.
The app became the new thing, right? Replacing folders with icons.
Exactly. Very intimate, very connected, but also fragmented. So many apps, each doing its own little thing. Power, yes, but power in shards, remembering which app did what.
I feel that fragmentation daily.
Yeah.
And underpinning a lot of this was the cloud layer.
Right. Infrastructure computing. Platforms like AWS decoupled computing from the physical machine. It became virtual, abstract, super efficient. For users, data was everywhere. Software updated itself. But the interface, how we actually used it, still felt a bit disconnected from that potential. Still felt like apps and files.
Which brings us finally to now, the AI epoch. And this feels different, not just another step, but a real break.
It absolutely is the intelligence layer. We're talking large-scale generative AI, transformer models. These things can reason, converse, create.
It's not just a tool anymore.
No. It becomes a partner, a collaborator. Dialogue replaces commands. You state goals, not just clicks. The system starts to anticipate what you need, understands context. This isn't just an upgrade. It's a paradigm collapse for the old ways.
Wow. Paradigm collapse. That really hits home thinking about how ingrained things like save and open are, decades of conditioning, and you're saying AI just breaks that. How do people even start to imagine a world without those basic concepts?
That's the core challenge. When computing is intelligence, those old metaphors just don't work anymore. The file, a historical artifact, the folder, an unnecessary container, the application, a limitation, even the screen might become optional.
Because those metaphors came from paper, right? Physical organization.
Exactly, but intelligence flows differently. It's conversational, interwoven, dynamic. It's liquid. You don't save, the system remembers. You don't open, you ask. You don't navigate hierarchies. You collaborate with the information.
Okay, so here's where it gets really interesting. You're emphasizing liquid over just ambient. Ambient feels kind of passive, like it's just there. Why liquid? What makes that the right word?
Great question. Ambient is like air passive, background. But this new computing is active, adaptive, dynamic. Water, though. Water adapts. It flows. It surrounds. It has memory, motion.
So it's responsive.
Highly responsive. It carries intelligence in motion. It brings continuity across different screens you might use, across physical spaces, even across time. It learns how to help you. You don't learn how to use it. The human is the interface, and the system shapes itself around you.
Okay, let's follow that thread. If the system shapes around us, what does that mean for, say, the app? You mentioned the fragmentation, the power in shards. Is the app model actually on its way out? What are the hidden costs that are driving this?
It's a major shift, yeah. Apps solved problems but created new ones, and the user, you, paid the price. First, there's cognitive fragmentation. Think about it. Notes app, email app, project app, each with its own logic, its own UX. Your brain is constantly switching contexts.
Remembering where everything is, how each one works.
Exactly. Then data silos. Your calendar knows you're busy, but your task list probably doesn't unless you manually link them somehow. Information locked away.
Which wastes so much time trying to connect the dots yourself.
Totally. Then you had walled gardens. Apps often trapped users, didn't play well with others. App stores dictated terms, limited interoperability.
And just interface overload. Too many icons, too many notifications, constant switching.
Right. And finally, developer dependence. Building apps meant following Apple's or Google's rules, stifling innovation outside those ecosystems. It felt like choice, but there was this underlying friction, this tax on just getting things done.
So if the app model has these deep costs, it might be dying. What takes its place? How do we interact with that?
One key idea, intent. With large language models, LLMs, you don't need to pick the tool. You just state your intent, what you want to achieve.
Like, book me a flight to London next Tuesday.
Exactly. And the system figures it out, checks your calendar, your preferences, maybe your budget, handles the booking. Or turn this doc into a 5-slide presentation. You express the outcome, not the process.
So these are the multimodal agents you mentioned. They understand you and orchestrate things.
Precisely. They operate across domains, handle complexity. The interface isn't the app anymore. The interface is your intention.
And that means AI isn't just running on this system. It is the system, the operating medium.
That's it, exactly. AI as the operating medium. It's inherently cognitive. It interprets meaning, understands context, priority, nuance. It's not just executing code. It's translating your human intent into an outcome. It's like a living substrate.
Okay, if AI is the medium, how does that change the underlying structure, the stack? Does the kernel, the very core, become something different, like a brain?
That's a really good analogy. The old stack was linear, right? Hardware, OS, app, file, user. The new stack, the liquid stack, is totally reimagined. Think layers, a sensory edge pulling in data, an intelligence mesh connecting and learning from it, an agentic layer where AIs act for you, a conversation space for interaction, and then co-being, where it integrates with you.
And the kernel?
The AI kernel transformed. It's not just managing processes and memory anymore, it becomes a cognitive core. It understands language, models your goals, learns from behavior, works across voice, gesture, text. It doesn't just boot up, it kind of comes alive. It's managing conversations, not just threads.
And this context engine idea, it remembers everything. Past chats, your calendar, your preferences, maybe even your mood. That sounds incredibly powerful, but also potentially a bit much. And how does it work without feeling creepy?
Yeah, that's the key challenge. These AI-powered context engines track and integrate context fluidly. Recent conversations, docs, calendar, preferences, maybe even emotional tone from your voice. The goal is seamless interaction.
So you could just say, reschedule my meeting with Sarah.
Exactly. And it knows which Sarah, which meeting, based on recent context. No need for tedious detail. And crucially, modality becomes interchangeable. Speak, type, point, show an image. The system gets it. The aim is helpfulness, anticipation, always with user control and permissions, not intrusion.
So if AI is the medium, apps are dissolving, context is key. What does the interface even look like? It can't just be a screen full of icons anymore. Is it beyond the screen?
It really is. The interface itself is dissolving, becoming adaptive, ambient, interactive. It moves with you, listens, responds in your language, your style, your context.
So adaptive interfaces, they change based on what I'm doing.
Exactly. In real time, based on intent, environment, behavior. And multimodal interaction is the baseline. You choose how to interact: voice, text, gesture. Maybe you hear a reminder if your hands are full, see a chart if you're visual, or both. It's situational.
What's fascinating here is that the most natural interface is language, just talking to it.
Absolutely. Conversation as interface. Natural language becomes the universal syntax. Like the source says, you don't use liquid computing, you speak to it.
So instead of searching, scanning links, putting it together myself,
You ask a question, you get a summary, a plan. You ask follow-ups, drill down. You collaborate with the information, you don't just navigate it. This leads to a conversational workplace where the system builds the workflow around your goal.
and it even taps into emotion, personality, understanding frustration or delight.
It can, yeah. Modulating its tone, offering encouragement. Not everyone wants an AI best friend, obviously, but in moments of stress or loneliness, that presence, that validation could be supportive. And it adapts formal for work, maybe more relaxed for brainstorming.
Okay, so taking these core ideas, AI as medium and intent as interface,
Right.
how do they start dissolving other big boundaries we take for granted, like the line between online and offline? Does that just vanish?
Pretty much. That old online-offline split doesn't really hold. It's not about being connected to the internet specifically, but connected to context. Intelligence lives in a mesh on your device, in cached memory, sensors, edge computing.
Like a membrane, not a wall.
Exactly. Permeable, elastic. You don't go offline and then back online. The membrane just adapts. This allows for things like digital shadows, where AI continues tasks, organizes notes while you sleep. There's no real non-digital moment anymore. No purely offline self.
And the cloud. It's obviously more than just storage now.
Way more. It becomes the intelligence cloud, a cloud of cognition. It has memory, agency, learning, reasoning. It's the difference between an archive and an assistant.
And this idea of your digital self in the cloud. It's like you become a model the system understands.
In a sense, yes. A dynamic model of your preferences, goals, tone, which leads to the end of logging in. You don't enter a password, you just arrive. The system knows you. Your identity becomes portable cognition.
How does this rewrite our relationship with work and life? That boundary seems like it would completely blur.
It does. Liquid work, liquid life. Work isn't defined by place or hours, but by intelligent flow. It's context-aware, boundary-fluid, highly agentic, with AI co-pilots handling tasks.
So productivity becomes about flow, minimizing those context switches.
Exactly. Flow-first productivity. And moving from calendar to rhythm, where systems learn your creative cycles, suggests breaks based on biofeedback. Collaboration evolves, too. You share a knowledge graph, not just files.
And this enables things like the solopreneur plus elastic team idea. Scaling with AI, not just hiring.
Precisely. Scaling means composing capability. Life and work aren't opposites anymore. They're interwoven expressions of purpose, powered by this intelligent flow.
The browser. That window we've stared into for decades, is it really becoming a relic?
Increasingly, yes. It was the portal that ruled Web 1.0 and 2.0, but it has constraints, tab overload, statelessness, constant navigation. We're moving to cognitive surfing.
A new interface for web intelligence, where the system brings information to you.
Right. Synthesized briefs, personalized dashboards. Discovery becomes decentralized. AI agents recommend things proactively. Interfaces lose their hard edges. Agents replace bookmarks. And search becomes a dialogue, an iterative conversation, not just keywords. The browser frame dissolves into the flow.
Okay, connecting this all to the bigger picture, this is huge. When intelligence becomes invisible, seamless. What about the ethics? Agency, privacy, consent? These are massive questions, aren't they?
Absolutely critical. This is the ethics of flow. When intelligence is invisible, influence can be too. Let's start with consent in continuous systems. How do you consent when it's always learning, even from your tone of voice?
It can't be just a one-time checkbox.
No, it needs perceptible transparency. You need to see how it's learning. Interruptible flows, you need to be able to pause it. And granular settings, real control over the data.
It becomes an ongoing negotiation. And what about agency and automation? When does help become taking over, eroding our own ability to choose or act?
A very real risk. When assistance becomes automation of self, does convenience make us passive? We need reversibility, undo buttons, reviewability, why did it do that, and clear permissioning. You stay in charge.
And our attention, it's already a battleground. What about the privatization of attention in a system designed for perfect flow, which could also mean perfect advertising?
Crucial point. We need transparent motives. Is this a suggestion or an ad? We need attention sanctuaries, spaces designed to protect focus. And relatedly, bias in invisible systems. Bias acting subtly is dangerous. Constant auditing, exposing parameters, actively seeking pluralism are vital.
And privacy gets even more intense, right? Privacy in the age of intimacy. If it knows your mood, your habits.
The risks are immense. We need ephemeral defaults. Data disappears unless you choose to keep it. And true user-owned memory, you control your data graph. Then there's truth, synthesis, and the epistemic crisis. AI synthesizers can smooth over conflict, omit nuance. Systems must show sources, expose uncertainty, and support contestation, make it easy to find different views.
What about the people behind the curtain? Labor and the ghost in the system. If it's all frictionless, who does the hidden work? Who profits? Who loses their job?
A massive societal and economic question. And personally, emotional boundaries in AI companionship. The risk of emotional enmeshment, addiction even, finding that balance, empathy versus manipulation, companionship versus substitution, enhancing human connection, not replacing it.
These are incredibly complex ethical layers. Are there broader system-level risks we should also keep in mind?
Definitely. There are potential structural fragilities, dependency on context, massive data needs, multi-agent complexity. There are psychological risks, decision fatigue, boundary loss, identity erosion. We should expect social and political resistance from labor, cultural groups, governments.
And the information environment itself.
Huge risks there. Disinformation and manipulation get supercharged with personalized generative content. Platform power and liquid monopoly, a few AI giants controlling everything. The sheer environmental and energetic cost of training and running these models is enormous, plus e-waste. A real cultural risk if we impose Western models globally. And, of course, the potential for crashes, breaks, and emergent collapse in complex interdependent systems.
And maybe just plain old human resistance.
Exactly. Internal resistance. The human need for friction, imperfection, meaning maybe we don't want everything to be perfectly seamless.
This has been an absolutely fascinating deep dive, from mainframes crunching numbers to this future where computing just dissolves into intelligent flow, from friction to flow.
It really boils down to a core shift. You don't compute anymore, you co-think.
So for everyone listening,
Yeah.
what does this future mean for you? Because this isn't just tech changing. It feels like a civilizational threshold.
It really does.
As we drift into this liquid era, what kind of world do we want to flow into? Is it one of frictionless control or flourishing connection?
Yeah.
Passive automation or active co-creation? Do we want pure speed? Or do we need to protect spaces for, I don't know, sacred slowness?
The future isn't set in stone, it's liquid. And shaping it is an ongoing conversation between us, between artificial intelligence and maybe even the planet itself.